Tonight on KGW News, waterlogged hillsides come crashing down with mud and trees closing 2 local highways. The soggy question tonight, when will we finally catch a break? Plus, coffee with a side of crime as another Portland business decides it's now done with downtown.
It's during business hours and people feel unsafe and it's pretty traumatizing.
And later, the struggle to get those who are homeless and addicted into detox and treatment.
Like, I don't want my brother to die. And that's why I feel like exactly where it's at.
Local families give us a rare glimpse as they fear they're running out of time. Good evening, and we begin with yet another soggy night over the Rose City with a number of local landslides to tell you about, with the rain over the course of the day even breaking some records. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino tonight. Matt, when are we going to finally dry out from this super soaker?
Yeah, it just keeps coming down, although the rainfall rates have backed off quite a bit in about the last hour. Downtown Portland right now, we're only 44 degrees, so not only is it still raining, it's gotten colder as we've gone through the nighttime hours. The rainfall records, some of them anyway, the airport is up to an inch even as of about 5 minutes ago. Downtown, 1.2 inches, Salem 1.34, Vancouver nearly an inch as well. And again, these amounts, it's interesting too, because most of the records we're breaking today were actually set last year on this date. So something about this time of year in April, been having a rough roll. Remember, it was a year ago tomorrow we had that freak snowstorm in Portland. So you can see right here, lots of green, and then this back edge is developing over the coast range. So we'll get out of this steady rain. May actually stop for a little while overnight tonight, David, but that'll be brief because showers are going to fill in after the steady rain goes by. We'll see the rain turn to showers, frequent showers, maybe a thunderstorm tomorrow, but there will be some breaks. So at least we got that going for us. Back to you.
That's something. Thank you, Matt. All the heavy rain, by the way, has left many hillsides around the area more prone to slides. Case in point, section of ground that came down in the northbound lanes of I-5 today near Woodland. Washington State Patrol says at least 2 vehicles there were hit by debris. No one was hurt, and all lanes are now back open. Well, also back open tonight, the historic Columbia River Highway in the Gorge. A landslide here this morning took out part of the stone guardrail there. Wow, that's about a half-mile west of the Vista House. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, we now know what police say a suspect was doing this morning just before a shootout with an Oregon State trooper. Salem police say a trooper had stopped to help the driver of a disabled semi and found that driver was being held at gunpoint by somebody else. The trooper says the man with a gun immediately started shooting and the trooper fired back. The suspect, 31-year-old Felipe Amezcua Monzo, ran off, but troopers found him later in the shrubs along the road. He died at the scene. Police say they recovered a gun with the words Clay County Sheriff's Office written on it. Investigators are not commenting on how the suspect got the gun. The trooper, Andrew Tuttle, was hurt during the incident, though it's unclear exactly how. Tuttle is now on administrative leave as Salem police investigate. And another person has died tonight following a workplace shooting in Louisville, Kentucky. This means a total of 5 people were killed and 9 others, including 2 police officers, were injured. Police say an employee opened fire at the bank where he worked. He was shot to death by responding officers. This is the 15th mass killing in the country this year. Well, new tonight, another downtown Portland business, one driven by foot traffic, and that's helped boost neighborhood buzz, you might say, is calling it quits. Kova Coffee on the corner of Southwest 12th and Jefferson says the never-ending threats, the vandalism, the violence mean after nearly 5 years, it is time to go. Catherine Cook shows us how it's the latest shop to close on that block, and why another is choosing to stay.
Southwest 11th and Jefferson has seen some dark days and tough decisions. At Kova Coffee, calling the shots has never felt this hard.
I mean, I think all of us here at the cafe feel a little distraught.
On Monday, management announced on social media they'd be closing this location for good. Thursday will be their last day. The business cited extreme violence and criminal activity that keeps getting worse.
We had a window that was shattered during business hours, and then we also had a chair thrown last Wednesday at this window, and it's during business hours and people feel unsafe and it's pretty traumatizing.
Baristas like Chance McLeod say they wanted to work here to make good coffee and a safe, inviting space for people to enjoy it in. He never thought that would include hazard pay and de-escalation training, but here we are.
Things escalate because we only have so much escalation training as baristas.
Cova's exit follows Amazon's recent departure from this same building. Both opened in 2017. That leaves Karam Restaurant and Bar as the last remaining business tenant.
Our mindset is definitely not on leaving, right? I mean, we signed a very long-term lease for a reason, because we're in it to win it.
Owner Karam is grateful for continued business and support. But he's also dealt with his own share of crime, including several broken windows. But nothing, he says, in the last month. For him, that's a win.
Every day coming to work it's always a surprise for me. Kind of roaming around the building, seeing if there's any broken glass, seeing if there's any break-ins.
It's just been such a shock.
Sarah Shaul is CEO of Bricks Need Mortar, an advocacy group for small businesses. Each year, they survey small business owners. Out of 118 questioned, 63% said that in 2021, their business had been broken into or vandalized. In 2022, 79% said they'd been hit. Many, more than once.
There's a lot of blame pointed at other entities, whether it's the city versus the county or whether it's the police versus the DA. Come on, guys, we got to cut this out. We need to get together and we need to just work to solve these problems.
Shaul admits what's happening in Portland is not much different from what many other cities are experiencing, but maybe the tumble began from a more idyllic place.
I believe that, Portland just had much farther to fall.
And this is just one block.
I kind of hope the street can get better after a certain amount of time.
So important to support our local businesses. Akova Coffee still has 2 other locations that will stay open, one on Southeast Hawthorne, the other on Southeast Grand. Also last month, Bricks Need Mortar started a monthly meetup group to help reconnect business owners. They're calling it Shop Talk. We'll post more on that on KGW.com. David.
And sadly right now, Catherine, there is just so much to talk about. Yeah. Thanks, Catherine. Speaking of property crime, by the way, our KGW investigators found out there is a new report of vandalism in Portland every 42 minutes. They took a closer look at the chronic problem earlier this year. You can watch their full report now on KGW Plus on your Roku or Fire TV app.
I think everybody's kind of still reeling and trying to process what happened.
And it's not just the radio cab family, but those who've ever taken a ride with a longtime Portland taxi company with one of their drivers. The company says stabbed to death Sunday by a passenger he had just picked up. The driver has not been publicly identified, and Radio Cab says video recorded inside his taxi shows the whole gruesome attack.
I think drivers are going to be far more aware of who's in their back seat and what's going on, because this absolutely came out of nowhere. It was completely unprovoked. He never saw it coming.
And we learned today police made an arrest in that attack, a man they've identified as 30-year-old Moses Lopez. Now, according to court documents, Lopez already had a warrant out for his arrest from Coos County for threatening 2 men with weapons last Monday. He was charged and released, but never showed up for a Thursday court appearance. Lopez is now in the Multnomah County Jail facing charges for murder. Colleagues describe the taxi driver as kind and extremely hardworking.